Joining us right now, the technical director, no stranger to our show in the past, from Barrie, Mark Cristante. Mark, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Anthony, how are you?
I'm very good, my friend. Enjoyed having you on again, and let's get right to it. I've had coaching education shows on for the last number of weeks, and I wanted to continue on because you have a pulse, a heartbeat of what's going on with your club, obviously, but in the province of Ontario and in Canada, you're immersed in your club with a lot of different things. So I wanted to discuss a few things with you, Mark. And one of the things I wanted to discuss with you is parents. And let's discuss that, how important it is to stress development and not winning at the early ages. I was caught in this problem with my first son. And then after the second son, I learned never to do it. But even at the ages of 4, 5, 6, and 7, you see parents on the sideline absolutely going ballistic and going crazy because their little Johnny or little Susie didn't score or didn't win that trophy and medal. How do we eradicate that and talk to them about the importance of development?
I think it's important to have technical oversight at those age groups. I spent a lot of time myself in the U4, 5, 6, 7, 8 age group, and from the very first night, what I do is I talk to parents and basically explain what the program is about and what we're trying to achieve. And obviously, winning isn't the main objective. We're trying to teach the kids how to play soccer, how to have fun, learn the fundamentals. And so it's important to have somebody from the club have that oversight and discuss that with the parents.
Mark, let's talk about another issue that's really been bothering me for a number of years. I've never discussed it, but I think it's time to discuss it right here on Red Card. And it's important to discuss, and it's a vicious, vicious, vicious situation that rears its ugly head every year with different clubs and some academies. Very, very few, I would say, that I've heard in academies this take place. But let's talk about it. You're a technical director of a big club in Canada, not just in Ontario, and you've seen this, I'm sure you've experienced it, where some coaches all of a sudden pick up, bolt, and leave to go to where they think the grass is greener at another club. They take 3 or 4 of their best. They convince the parents, this isn't the atmosphere for your kid to be in. We need to go to a winning atmosphere. We need to win, 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 and forget development. How do we fix that? How do we make sure that this, stops once and for all?
Well, I think what it comes down to is that the parents are loyal to the coach first, not loyal to the club. And that's an issue. And so what you have to do is you have to find a way of making them feel that the club is like a family. So they have to be loyal to the club first, buy into the program and the vision, what the club's trying to do. And there's different ways you can fix that. One of the things we do in our club is we have what's called lead coaches, which oversee all the coaches from U9 to 12. And so they're visible. They're on a weekly basis. They interact with the parents, the coaches. And so that this way the parents can see there's actually people from the club besides the coaches, the volunteer coaches, they're actually working with the players as well, right?
Let me ask you this, Mark. Do you think it's important that nowadays, maybe when you've got good, qualified, quality coaches, that you sign them to a 2-year deal, maybe at very small, minimal amount of money, but you sign him to a 2-year deal so that you know that he's going to be there or she's going to be there for 2 years, and the parents can be assured that, hey, 2, maybe 3 years, this coach is going to be here. He's got a contract. They can't pick up and bolt and leave.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to have succession planning in place. I mean, with us, we put a 5-year coach plan in place so that we also show our coaches where they can go to and develop. So that, when you're part of the club, there's a development cycle for the coaches as well. So, eventually, if they'd like, they could be a technical staff coach, maybe work in a soccer school. There's opportunities for them. So there's a growth process for the coaches as well. And we want to keep coaches. We want to develop our coaches as well over a period of time.
Let me ask you this, Mark. I've only seen this with a couple of academies. I've yet to see it completely from the early ages all the way up in any club in Ontario. I don't know of all of Canada, but all of Ontario, I've yet to see a specific identity of a club. So let's say Barrie, or I can take so many other clubs out there. When my son goes to play Barrie or Vaughan or whoever, I know the identity of that club that my son's going to play against, whether it's an offensive thinking type of club, defensive thinking, complete football, run and gun. I've still yet to see a complete identity. When you sit down with these coaches that you're about to hire and put them in place in different positions, do you explain to them, this is our philosophy, this is what we want you to follow through on, and if not, we need to cut right now. We cannot have you part of this group. We need you to follow what we're doing.
Absolutely. When we interview any of the coaches, we explain this is the philosophy we have and how we see the game should be played, how we develop soccer players, the type of players we want to look at down the road and say that we're part of our club. And either they buy in or buy out at that point. And sometimes people don't agree with it, and that's fine. But we have a vision of the type of players we want to see come out of this club over a period of time. And I think you have to think down the road. And a lot of times I don't think clubs think down the road far enough, in my opinion. Coaches are guilty of that as well. So we try to make people see beyond just a year, just a season. Think 3-5 years from now, how that player is going to look if you do the right training for that player.
You know, Mark, I think a lot of times parents take shots and they don't deserve it. In some areas, I believe they need to have some criticisms thrown their way, but in other areas, I don't believe. And I'll give you an example. I think there's some parents that come from different countries, whether South America, Europe, Africa, wherever, that are very knowledgeable. Maybe ex-players that have their parents ex-players that have their kids in your club and are sitting back watching, analyzing a training session, a game, on and on, not saying anything. So I believe it's vitally important for you as a technical director to make sure that you're continuously learning and educating yourself and passing it on to your other coaches. What would you say to a coach or two maybe in your club that says, you know what, coach, I'm okay. I don't need to attend this coaching session or go to get some more in this area. I mean, I know that a lot of parents then can catch on and say, look, it's the same old drills. There's nothing new that this coach is bringing. They're not stupid. It's going to catch up to them. So somewhere along the line, you've got to make adjustments and get better at your trade and your craft as well.
Absolutely. It's ongoing. One of the things we did last year was we evaluated every coach, both on the field. We did an on-field evaluation. We brought them in at least 3 times. We worked, and we actually created a plan for each coach so that each coach could see everybody has strengths and weaknesses. Some coaches have great knowledge, but they're poor communicators. Other coaches are great communicators, don't have the knowledge. So we try to work with each coach and try to close those gaps to make them better coaches. And it's just an ongoing process for everybody, right?
I couldn't agree with you more. Mark, just before we let you go, obviously now is the time of year where there's some downtime and you're going to get 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, where a lot are just going to sit back, relax, and enjoy. But obviously, come the new year, it goes into a full force mode again. Yourself putting out plans that you want your coaches to follow. Coaches are going to have questions for you in which tournaments you believe that they should attend, or how to go about identifying certain players, boys or girls, that should be alerted to NCAA coaches, on and on and on. It never stops. Do you sit down, once every couple weeks and go over a lot of things with your coaches that are important? Do you do certain sessions with them and explain to them, look, I'm seeing this at certain games that is not following what we want? How do you go about, planning that strategic plan for your club?
Well, a number of ways actually. We do classroom sessions weekly with the coaches, and then what we do as well is every other week we do a field session. So I'll run a field session for all the competitive coaches from let's say U12 to U18. So when I'm on the field working on different topics, and then at that time, I'm also looking at the players with the coaches, and we're discussing, strong players and players that we need to make improvements with and what things they can do to help the players, right? And I give them a number of resources. We put players on individual plans. We do goal setting for them. So there's lots of things we're doing to try to make players better, right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of things that the coaches today in 2015 are doing are fantastic. I think they're covering a lot of areas. The tactical, the technical, the nutrition aspect. But I think one part that's not been covered for my liking, not enough, whether it's your club, many clubs, many academies, is having a sports psychologist come in to talk to your coaches, to explain to them, hey, make sure what's coming out of your mouth is not things that are going to damage that boy, that girl, that young teenager in the long run. Make sure that what's coming out of there is things that are instructive, that are helpful, things that can really be a long-lasting positive in this person's life. I think this is important. Have you decided, or maybe are you looking at having a sports psychologist come in to talk to your coaches?
We actually did last year, before the season. We brought a sports psychologist in, and she did a seminar. And from that seminar, some of the coaches actually went out and hired her to do some special stuff. And from that, some parents actually hired her to do individual stuff with some of their kids, which was great. So yeah, definitely we're attuned to that, and we believe most of the training we do is centered around the brain anyway, but it's combined with the technical, tactical aspect of the game. But certainly that is a huge component, the psychological aspect.
Mark, outstanding of you to take time to join us once again. It looks like you guys have made all sorts of strides, leaps and bounds at the Barrie Soccer Club, and it's fantastic to hear you're enjoying it and you're really making some ground in Ontario. Have a wonderful Merry Christmas to you and your family. Continued success, and we'll get you back on in the new year, my friend.
Take care. All the best, Anthony.
That is Mark Cristante, Technical Director of Barrie Soccer Club.